Hi, fourth graders. This week for our second steps lesson, we're going to talk about avoiding jumping to conclusions. To avoid something means to try not to do it. And jumping to conclusions, we also call that assuming or making an assumption. So let's talk more about that. Why would we want to avoid making an assumption or jumping to a conclusion? So our target today is that we're going to try to identify strategies, again, to manage our emotions, to make good choices, and we're going to demonstrate assertiveness skills. If you remember, assertive means you say what you want in a respectful way. You're not aggressive, but you're also not passive and kind of meek and kind of scared, okay? We're going to find out what those have to do with jumping to conclusions. So this little comic, this little picture is a perfect example. It says, don't ask, just jump, right? And if you look at the bottom here, there is a shark fin right here. And it says the Sea of Conclusions. Sorry, my picture's in the way a little bit. There's a shark there. Don't ask, just jump, right? When you do that, when you jump and you don't think about it and you don't ask yourself questions, you might jump into danger, right? You might have a problem. So it says, have you ever heard of the phrase jumping to conclusions? Think if you've ever heard that. Like, have you ever heard somebody say, don't jump to a conclusion, don't jump to conclusions? Think about what that might mean. What could it mean to jump to conclusions? When you jump to conclusions, you make assumptions about what is going on. So here's a great example. If I look outside and I see some kids and I see them throwing gloves to each other and there's another kid in between them, I might jump to the conclusion that those kids have taken somebody else's gloves and they're trying to play keep away, right? That would be an assumption. You believe you know what's going on, but you don't really have all the information you need. Now, when those kids come in from recess, I might say, hey, how dare you take their gloves away? It's cold out there and you are being so mean. And right, I might jump to that conclusion and I might think I know what's going on. And the students might say, Mrs. Marsh, we made up a new game. We were playing it, a whole bunch of us together, and it was so much fun. And yes, it involved mittens, but we switched around whose mitten it was and we played it like this. Oh, I jumped to a conclusion, right? I was thinking that these students needed to have a consequence because they were not being very kind, when really they were being creative and had come up with a game, right? I jumped to a conclusion. I did not have enough information. I just quickly saw what I thought was happening and I tried to jump in. And there was a shark, right? Sometimes you assume the worst. You assume it's going to be something terrible, like I did. They were taking these mittens, and that poor child was going to have super cold hands, and they were being mean. And you don't think clearly. Once you think it's the worst, once you think it's something bad, you may not question yourself about, wait, is that really what was happening? Right? Our brain just kind of goes, nope, I know what it is. And we might make the wrong decision. So to avoid doing this, we have to step back. We have to control our emotions a little bit. When we think we know what's going on, but we really aren't involved in the situation, we might need to stop, think about other possibilities, right? Think about a way we could maybe get more information. And most importantly, we have to stay calm, right? If we get angry about something we think is going on, or if we get super nervous about something we think is happening, or if we get super excited about something, oh, that would be the worst, to jump to a conclusion where we think something amazing is happening and it really isn't happening. That would be a lot of disappointment, right? So we need to keep ourselves calm in that situation and make sure we're really thinking through, what are the possible things that could be happening? We don't want to jump to a conclusion. So in this video, like we normally do, there's going to be a situation. And you might have found yourself in a situation similar to this before, right? Watch what happens to our character and see if you can make any connections. Have you ever had something like this happen to you?
My sister Darlene almost made a big mistake by jumping to conclusions. Here's her story. There was these three girls. I know all of them. Mary's even kind of a friend of mine. We play on the same soccer team. I had to walk by them, and they were whispering and giggling at me. I thought it was strange. So like Barrett, in front of like everybody. In front of like everybody. It really hurt my feelings. I mean, what did I ever do to them? Why were they laughing at me? It made me so mad. I just wanted to. You make me mad. You're so stupid. You don't know anything. That's what I felt like doing.
Now, I want to be clear. She didn't say that last part, right? But in her head, that's what she wanted to say, right? That was kind of the video that was playing in her head. She was super mad and super hurt, right? So we could tell that because she walks by with a sad face. She kind of ignores them, right? She's looking down. She's got many reasons why you might look at her and go, ooh, she looks upset. She looks sad. She looks mad, right? So, what was she assuming was happening? Why did she think those girls were laughing in the stairwell? Yeah, if you were paying attention, she thought they were laughing at her. They thought she was talking about her. I can count so many times when students have come up to me and said, Mrs. Marsh, this person and that person were talking about me. And I'll say, well, how do you know? Well, because they were laughing. Well, how do you know they were laughing at you? I just know they were looking at me, right? We often, if we're not part of a group and there's a group of people doing something, we often feel like maybe that thing that they're doing relates to us if we're not part of it, right? And so Darlene just assumes that they are telling something about her that is making them all laugh. And she's very uncomfortable and she's really upset. If she had gone and yelled at them like that, if she had done that, think of what that would have done to their friendship. Would it have really made her feel better? Right? So think of what she could do instead, because thank goodness she didn't do that. What could she do instead to kind of manage the situation? She feels really uncomfortable. She feels sad. She feels angry. She feels left out. She feels teased. But what could she do instead of just going back there and yelling? Some of you might have said, maybe talk to an adult about it. And maybe the adult can talk to those students and say what was going on, right? Some of you might have said, stay calm. That was one of the things we talked about, right? Stay calm and think about what you can say. She said that one student was even a friend of hers. So maybe she can talk to her about what happened, right? Maybe she needs to name what she's feeling, take some breaths, count it out, give herself some positive self-talk so that she makes some good decisions, right? There's many things she could do to try to manage it instead of going to yell. Okay, so you don't have a partner next to you, but you could kind of pretend you're in her spot, right? Think about what you could do. Give yourself your signal. I'd tap my leg, say, I am feeling so frustrated. Okay, Darlene, you've been friends with those girls before, right? You haven't done anything that they would laugh at. Can't think of anything. They've never been mean before like this. Why would they start now? Kind of talk myself through it, right? All right. So let's see what she actually does. And let's see what information she gets, right? Because here's the follow-up to what we just saw. Here's the next part.
So Mom dropped us off at this movie called Brothers and Sisters. Oh, I'm dying to see that. Was it funny? It was hilarious. The funniest part was when the sister took her brother to the mall and got him in trouble. Oh, I love to do that to my brother. Me too. What happened next? Okay, so they're walking, and these guards come up and say, "Hey, you stop right here." And my sister was laughing. She's like, I wanted to tell them how much they hurt my feelings. But I was afraid I'd just yell at them, so I decided to wait. I know. She is so funny. I mean, she's the biggest on the way. It was just, I don't know who it is. Like funny. I mean, just a second. Okay, whatever. Darlene, what's the matter? How come you didn't stop and talk with us? Susan was telling the funniest story about this movie she went to see. It was hilarious. Oh, I thought you were talking and laughing about me behind my back. Oh, that's why you look so upset. Yeah, it really bothered me. I had no idea you were talking about a movie. You know, we have got to go see that movie sometime. Sure, maybe this weekend.
Oh, it turned out it was a really good idea for her to wait and not just blow up at them, because it turns out they weren't talking about her at all. And she would have maybe lost some friends over something that was a misunderstanding, right? Once she got the information and knew they were talking about a movie, then she felt better about it, right? So sometimes we just need to make sure we get all the information before we react. And in order to do that, we have to stay calm, and we can't jump to a conclusion. We can't assume something's happening that we don't actually know if it's happening or not. All right? Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week for Second Steps.